When Elijah stood on the mountain, he expected God to appear in the wind, the earthquake, or the fire. Yet the Lord came in a gentle whisper, and that whisper carried more weight, more authority than any storm could. Why? Because his voice is not about volume. It is about truth. When you begin to lean into that quiet, you'll find that his words bring something this world cannot give. Peace that steadies your heart, wisdom that guides your steps, and love that never leaves you. Listening to God's voice is not reserved for the spiritual elite, nor is it a mystical gift for a chosen few. It is a promise, an invitation to every child of God. Jesus himself said, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." You are not excluded from this. You are his, and his voice is for you. This month, as we reflect on Jesus, on his love, his forgiveness, and the transforming power of faith, we are invited to come closer, to quiet the noise inside, and to tune our hearts to the gentle whisper of our shepherd. Do not be surprised if his voice doesn't come with thunder. Instead, expect his whisper to come when you pause, when you yield, when you dare to believe that he is closer than your very breath. That whisper has the power to guide your steps today, to carry you through storms, and to anchor your soul in everlasting peace. Have you ever noticed how life often feels like a storm? Loud, restless, and full of distractions. Yet deep within that storm, there exists a calm whisper, waiting to be heard. Many people spend their entire lives chasing after answers outside of themselves, advice from others, fleeting emotions, or temporary achievements. Yet the most powerful guidance has always been within them, waiting patiently, like a hidden compass pointing to true north. The challenge is that this inner voice, this quiet nudge, doesn't shout. It doesn't force its way into your decisions. Instead, it gently invites, almost like a friend who waits for you to pause long enough to listen, and that's where most of us stumble. We rarely pause. The world today is louder than ever. Constant notifications, endless comparisons, and the pressure to keep moving. In this endless rush, that inner guidance is drowned out, leaving people restless, anxious, and unsure of which path to follow. But there are those who, even in the middle of chaos, radiate a strange sense of peace. Their lives aren't necessarily easier, nor are their struggles fewer. Yet something about the way they walk through challenges feels different, almost as if they're being carried by a strength beyond themselves. And when you ask them, they'll tell you it isn't about being stronger than others. It's about learning to tune in, to hear clearly, and to trust the voice that never fails them. Think of a sailor navigating the sea. Without a compass, the waves push him wherever they please. Sometimes toward danger, other times in circles that lead nowhere. But with a compass, even if storms rage, he can move steadily in the right direction. Life works the same way. Without listening to the inner voice of God, people drift, tossed around by circumstances and emotions. But when they learn to hear his voice, suddenly their steps find purpose, their decisions find clarity, and their burdens feel lighter. The truth is, everyone longs for this clarity, whether they admit it or not. We want assurance before making big decisions. We want peace when facing storms. We want to know that the direction we're heading will not end in regret. And God's voice offers exactly that. Clarity that cuts through confusion, peace that overcomes fear, and guidance that never misleads. Yet the key isn't found in trying harder or doing more. The key lies in being still, quieting the noise, and opening our hearts to listen. Imagine a traveler standing at a crossroads. Before him stretch several paths, each promising something different. Success, security, happiness, or adventure. But only one leads to his true destination. If he chooses by sight alone, he might be misled by the path that looks easy, wide, and comfortable. only to discover later that it ends in disappointment. Yet if he has a guide who knows the way, he can walk with confidence, no matter how narrow or steep the road may appear. That guide is God's voice. It does not always lead us to the easiest route, but it always leads to the right one. It may call us to leave behind comfort zones, to release habits that quietly harm us, or to take bold steps that seem unreasonable to others. But when we follow, we discover that every challenge becomes preparation, every obstacle becomes an opportunity, and every step brings us closer to a life filled with meaning. The difficulty lies in discerning that voice amid the noise of countless others. The world is full of opinions, friends giving advice, media shaping perspectives, fears whispering doubts. Sometimes even our own desires masquerade as truth. So how do we distinguish God's voice from all these competing sounds? The answer is subtle yet profound. His voice carries peace, not confusion. His guidance aligns with truth, not compromise. And his direction often challenges us to grow beyond our limited vision. Consider the story of a young man who faced a life-altering decision, whether to pursue a career that promised wealth and recognition, or to follow a quieter calling that stirred in his heart. The world told him to chase the path of prestige. His friends encouraged him to grab the opportunity that looked impressive. But deep within, he sensed a gentle prompting, one that didn't shout but softly insisted, "This isn't your way." At first, he resisted, afraid of missing out. But the more he tried to silence it, the more restless he became. Finally, he surrendered, choosing the quieter path. Years later, he realized the decision had opened doors to fulfillment, impact, and joy, far greater than what he would have gained from chasing applause. This is the power of listening. God's voice often calls us away from temporary glitter to something eternal. It rarely aligns with fear, because fear paralyzes, while his words inspire courage. It rarely pushes us toward pride, because pride isolates, while his truth draws us closer to love and humility. To hear it, we must create space. Moments of stillness where our hearts are uncluttered. Moments when we dare to ask, "What are you saying to me today?" The irony is that many people long for divine direction, yet they fill their days with so much noise that they never give themselves the chance to hear it. The answer they've been searching for isn't far away. It's simply waiting in the silence, like a treasure hidden in plain sight. A picture for a moment. The difference between wandering in darkness and walking with a lamp, without light. Every step is uncertain. You stumble, hesitate, and fear what lies ahead. But when even a small flame guides your way, the journey changes. You may not see the entire path, but you see enough to keep moving forward with confidence. That's what hearing God's voice is like. It may not reveal the whole story at once, but it gives you just enough clarity for the next step, and that is all you need. The beauty of this journey is that it's not reserved for a chosen few. It's available to anyone willing to pause, listen, and trust. Some think they're not spiritual enough, or that God only speaks to certain people. But the truth is, his voice is like a father's to his child, always present, always reaching out, waiting patiently for us to quiet our hearts. Just as radio waves are constantly filling the air, waiting for us to tune in, his guidance is ever present, waiting for us to align our attention. When people finally learn to listen, they often describe it as a turning point. Suddenly, decisions that once felt overwhelming become lighter. Instead of relying solely on logic or external approval, they feel anchored by something deeper. Their confidence is no longer based on circumstances, but on the assurance that they're not walking alone. And even when storms come, and they always do, the peace within them holds steady, unshaken by what rages outside. There's also a profound freedom that comes from listening. Many spend their lives enslaved by the opinions of others, constantly adjusting their choices to gain approval or avoid criticism. But when you tune into God's voice, the weight of those opinions begins to fade. You realize that the approval you've been craving was never from people. It was already given by the one who knows you fully and loves you completely. That realization frees you to live authentically, courageously, and joyfully. Of course, listening doesn't mean life will be free from difficulties. It doesn't promise an easy road, but it does promise a meaningful one. And meaning is what our hearts crave most. Think of the countless stories of people who risked everything because they followed a calling. A missionary who left behind comfort to serve strangers, an artist who chose truth over fame, a leader who stood for justice despite threats. Their lives remind us that when we align with God's voice, we become part of something far greater than ourselves. So the invitation is simple yet life-changing. Slow down, be still, and listen. Set aside the noise, the endless scrolling, the restless chasing, and dare to ask, what is God saying to me right now? That one question, if asked sincerely, can change the direction of your life. Because when you hear clearly and follow faithfully, you will discover a peace that no storm can shake, a strength that no burden can crush, and a purpose that no failure can steal. And that, more than anything, is what it means to truly live. At the end of the day, the greatest question is not whether storms will come, because they will, but whether we will know how to walk through them without losing ourselves. Life will always bring crossroads, doubts, and moments of weakness. Yet those who have learned to recognize and follow God's voice are never left wandering in despair. They carry within them a compass that points true north, a light that never dims, and a peace that surpasses all understanding. Perhaps you've experienced this before. A moment when, against all logic, you felt an unshakable assurance about what you needed to do. Or maybe, in your darkest night, you sensed a quiet whisper reminding you that you were not alone. These moments are not accidents. They are glimpses of what life can look like when we choose to listen more closely. The invitation remains open, not for the perfect or the powerful, but for anyone willing to pause. Listening does not require grand rituals or flawless performance. It requires humility, honesty, and a heart willing to receive. It means daring to believe that the one who created you cares enough to guide you, not from a distance, but in the intimate details of your daily steps. Imagine what your life would look like if every decision was anchored, not in fear, not in pressure, but in clarity and peace. Imagine walking forward, even when the future is uncertain, knowing that your direction has been shaped by a voice that sees beyond time. That is the gift God offers. Not a roadmap that answers every question at once, but a faithful companion who ensures you never walk alone. So the choice is yours. Continue chasing the endless noise of the world, or dare to step into the quiet where His voice becomes clear. And when you do, you'll discover that the answers you've been searching for have been waiting for you all along, whispering gently in the silence, ready to lead you into a life of peace, courage, and lasting purpose.